So welcome back to the Reynolds Direction. My name is Scott Reynolds, and I have a very special guest. Her name is Jaylee Priscilli.
Yes.
And we are going to talk about something that I don't think it really gets talked much about, is the title business and title agency and title insurance and closings and stuff like that. So let's just jump right in. For anyone that may not know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, hello, my name is Jaylee Priscilli. I am fairly new to the title business. I've only been doing it 5 years. I started in June of 2020. I've done a few roles in the title business. I used to be a order opener, and then I was a processor. Now I'm currently a closer with Beachside Title Partners, and we are a fairly new title company located right here in beautiful Vero Beach, Florida. Our office is located right at 1701 Highway A1A, so we're right at the corner of A1A and 17th Street, right across the 17th Street Bridge. And title work is kind of exciting. It's not just paper pushing. There's a lot that goes into it and a lot of fun things that goes into it.
Hey, and 5 years of experience in the title business is like, what is that in like dog years of like all the effort and time and transactions?
Yeah,
I mean, that's hundreds of transactions.
It is hundreds of transactions. You get to see a lot of different things that come through. It could be something very simple, like a small little vacant land transaction that turns terrible because it's a fraud to start with.
Yeah.
Or, it could be a multi-million-dollar project that, takes years to accomplish and you finally get it done. So it could be anything in between.
Yeah, part of the job, I imagine, because I know we get a little bit part of it as well, is you get to play detective a little bit.
I do get to play detective, which is a lot of fun because in my former life, before I was a title agent, I was a police officer and I was a detective for several years. So I still get to be a detective. I still get to, yeah, exactly. I get to still look for clues and try to figure out issues and figure out where things went wrong and how to fix them.
You touched about, I think it was probably about 4 or 5 years ago, it seemed like the vacant land business was the vacant. Fraud can be done on anything, but it seemed like fraud people were pursuing or targeting vacant land parcels.
Yes. A lot of times your vacant landowners, of course, they don't live there because it's vacant land, so nobody's on the property. A lot of times they don't even live in the area. So nobody's driving by to check on the property. Nobody's got eyes on the property. A lot of times they don't even live in the state anymore. Right. So it's very easy for somebody that wants to be a fraudster to go on like the public records, look up vacant land parcels, see if the owner is local, try to portray themselves as that, contact a real estate company, say they want to sell their land, and it just goes on from there then.
Yeah, it's so we kind of see it on the front end on the real estate side, and before it was like a deal or a problem, so someone would call and talk about like 123 Banana Street, and I would like to list my land that I have, and of course the real estate agent's like, okay, that sounds great, and let's get, the Google Meet presentation or meet in person. And, one reason or another, they're like, I'm actually in, another area, can you just do comps? And then like, let me know what it's worth. And we do comps and we let them know what it's worth. Anyway, we establish a price. And I know there have been many cases in this county where that's happened. Yep. And so the realtor buys photography, puts the sign out, lists it, and then a buyer comes along and puts it under contract.
Yep.
And then on the buyer side, they're spending their money on surveys and due diligence and all that type of stuff.
Yep. Exactly. A lot of money gets wasted on it, and and a lot of times the transaction could actually go all the way through and then is discovered later, and now you've got a lawsuit on your hands.
Right. So I guess to paint the whole picture, what the fraudster's doing is when it comes to signing documents and everything, they forge the names of the person, and then the closing person asks for how do they want to get their funds, just like a normal closing,
Yep.
and then get the bank account and everything, and then they send them the money.
Yep. We just
And-
wire the money out, and that's it. It's gone.
And then usually the buyer doesn't know any different
Nope.
right now. And because there's nobody in the house, it's a vacant land.
Exactly.
And so this can go undetected for a long time.
Yes, it can.
And so it is a big mess. So there was a lot of things that you guys pushed out early on about
Yes.
it. And so now when on our front end, they do it as well as part of the closing process, but even on our end, if we get anything that even seems remotely fishy, we are asking for their driver's license or passport, and then running it through your guys'
Yep.
system.
Yep.
And tell a little bit about what the system does.
It's a verification. So I'll get a copy of their driver's license and their passports, because we usually try to ask for at least 2 forms of
Right.
ID. A lot of times, just verbally looking at them, I can tell right off the bat they're not even close to valid
Right.
at all. And then we have a company that we use that will actually scan the pictures, see if they can determine whether or not they're forgeries or frauds, and then they communicate with the person and ask them to take a selfie and send it in, and then they compare the facial recognition from the selfie as to what was given us for IDs also. Most people, if they're a fraudster, will not comply with that.
Right.
They won't even send you the ID to start with, let alone go that far in the process.
And I know we've ran into several that where this was all detected, and like all the efforts weren't wasted, and
Correct.
we were able to save everybody time, money, and most of all, keep the fraudster from getting the big check.
Yeah, I'd much rather ask people a few uncomfortable questions from the get-go, and instead of finding at the end of a transaction it was fraudulent.
The non-fraud people, we just explained that there has been a lot of fraud, and we're just wanting to protect the
Everybody.
owners. It does come out to be protecting everybody. But anyway, so you brought that up, so I wanted to slow it down and explain that a little bit. So that's another thing that you guys, part of your detectiveness.
Yes.
So that's awesome. What is just the overview process?
Well, once you decide you found the home you like, and you know how you're going to buy it, if you're going to be a cash buyer, if you're going to have to get a mortgage for it, and you get your contract and you're ready to go. So your contract is then sent to a title company, and our job is we're like a neutral third party. We want to coordinate with all the parties, making sure the deposits get made, making sure a title search is done.
So both agents, buyers, the sellers.
Everybody, if there's a lender involved,
Yeah.
everybody. And if somebody has an attorney that they're working with also, we bring them into the fold also, and get everybody together, so to speak, to make sure that we all know what's going on, how the process moves through, but from inspections to appraisals to, clear to close on your loan to, getting that closing date and coming in and signing your documents to the end of somebody getting money and somebody getting a house that day.
And then something that I don't know a lot of people understand is, the as a buyer, when you're getting a title policy, basically it's title insurance policy, and that is basically you're guaranteeing and paying, and you have a policy like money behind it that says this is a clear title.
Correct. Yep, that owner's title policy gets issued to you the day you buy your house. It's good for as long as you own the house, and it does protect you in case a title defect is ever discovered. So basically, when I get a contract in, we do a title search, and that title search generates a title commitment. It lets me know if there's anything on the property, and it can be something very simple, like your seller might have a mortgage on the property already. That's fine. It happened. They have a mortgage, or it might be something simple like they live in a homeowners association, so I have to confirm that, there's no back dues owed or anything like that. Or it could be a code enforcement lien. It could be a lien on the property or a violation on the property or something that needs to be fixed also. So all of that stuff has to be taken care of before you can actually close on the property. And then when we issue the title insurance, we're saying we took care of all of that. We made sure the chain of title was clear, all the encumbrances are clear, and the new buyer has a clear title.
Yeah, there's sometimes issues where you guys. Well, maybe I'll just ask you, like maybe a couple examples of issues that have shown up on title. That's not something like normal, like it's not a mortgage or a HOA.
Federal tax liens.
Yeah.
People don't realize federal tax liens. If you owe money to the IRS, that tax lien follows you no matter where you go, no matter what property you own. It's not attached to the property; it's attached to a person. It
Okay.
has to be cleared. Probates.
Those are the ones that can be a big mess.
Yes, probates can be a little time consuming depending on how many errors there are, what kind of what the deed looked like beforehand. If there's a will, there's not a will, whatever.
Right.
They can be a little time consuming. Yes.
So anyway, I think sometimes people are like, well, do I need title insurance? And obviously, if you're getting a loan, you have to, but it's a major purchase, and
it is. You should be protected.
Yeah, I've had some people that have tried to ask why and really challenge it, and at the end of the day, if they really want to do it, by all means, we tell them that they don't have to do it. But it's just, if I don't have that conversation and God forbid something happen, who are they going to call?
Exactly. Nobody. They're
right. The lien holders.
They lien. Yeah, that's about it.
Well, good. Well, I don't think, that overview and some of those details that people don't know. Right. One thing the 3 days before closing, I approximate you and the lender, if there's a lender involved, you guys are switching numbers back and forth a lot to be able to line up everything on the settlement sheet.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they have a closing department that
they do. And we have to be balanced. Their documents have to balance with mine. Our numbers have to be the same.
Right. Otherwise, it just doesn't work.
You can't close. You can't make it an approximation.
And then, what are some things that may just kill a transaction?
Sometimes, if you have a certain lien on a property and it's going to, like certain code enforcement liens, if somebody has ignored a code enforcement lien for years, those fees don't go away. And you can throw yourself on the mercy of the code enforcement board and see if they'll reduce it at all. So a lot of times it's a hard no. It's whatever that fee is or that fine is what it is. Some people can't afford that.
Right.
So they can't sell the property right then and there.
So they have to go and pay it off or settle with them.
Or do something ahead of time.
Okay.
And then on your buy side or your buying side, they may not get their lending.
Yeah.
They may not get approved at the end.
Right.
Or something may happen and they just can't go through with it, or they've changed their mind, or
right. That's real unfortunate when they've done all the inspections and picked out the house and went and looked at 20 houses or whatever, and then you get to the end of the rope and then you can't, you're not able to close.
Yep.
So cover a little bit types of ownership or types of titles, right of survivorship or
vesting.
Vesting.
Okay, so there are several different types of vesting that we can have. We have tenants by the entirety, which is usually like a husband and wife.
Okay.
Tenants in common is when each party has a specific. Usually it's a 50-50 split, but sometimes they. 60-40, they'll tell us exactly how much their split is. They each own a certain percentage of the property. Sole owners, of course, single people. We usually tell people, think about what they want to have happen to the property if something happens to one of the parties. And then if they really struggle with it, we do have to refer them to an attorney for
because it becomes more of a legal.
It does.
Right.
It does. And I don't want to practice law without a license.
So, but tenants in common, the nice thing about that is if something happens to either party, let's just say one becomes deceased, then however their estate and everything is spelled out, then they deal with that half.
Yes.
So the co-owner will basically be a co-owner with the estate. I think that's good to know. That way, if people are coming into a transaction, and I see it sometimes with second husbands and second wives, where,
And they have adult children.
and they have adult
yeah.
children, and
Yep.
like, that way if something happens to
Mhm.
either party, their
Mhm.
family still benefits from whatever
Correct.
that ownership that the
Correct.
parent had.
Correct.
That's a very common,
Yes.
way of seeing it. So I'm going to have all of your contact information. And if you guys have any title questions or closing
Yep.
questions, feel free to reach out to Jaylee directly. And then if you have any comments or anything that you on this video, then go ahead and just put it below. Give us a like or what is it? Oh, shoot.
Like, comment, follow.
Yeah. Or give us a like, comment, or follow. And really looking forward to talking to you guys. See you on the very next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.